In today's live stream video, I'm going to discuss with my guests his reselling business, including what we should look for, or Bolos, when at thrift shops, garage sales, etc. He'll share his tips, tricks, and techniques to help make us more successful and profitable resellers. Every Wednesday, I have a live stream, and I usually interview another reseller and have them share their tips and their techniques to help us become more profitable. And if you are interested in becoming a reseller or you're a reseller, then you are in the right place. Going to pop in a chat to say hello to a few people, and we'll get started very shortly, and I shall bring my guest on. I know Randy was in the chat. Let's see who else is here. Maggie, thank you for being here. Lisa C, appreciate you. Mike, flipping goodies. Always good to see you, my friend. And I'm sure the chat will be filling in very shortly. So again, guys, I've had Joe on my show before. So as I said, I'm always looking for other resellers to come on my show. So again, if you guys know anybody that's interested in reselling and would like to be on my show, please reach out to them, and then you can reach out to me through my social media. So let me bring on my guest, Mr. Joe, the Philly picker. Okay, hello, sir.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Good to see you. Why don't you tell the people that don't know you, Joe, a little bit about yourself?
Hey, everybody. My name's Joe. I go by Philly Picker on YouTube and Instagram, and I even started TikTok. Well, actually, my son talked me into starting TikTok. But basically, I'm a part-time reseller. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I mainly sell on eBay, and I do most of my sourcing at thrift stores, estate sales, garage sales, and flea markets, and I pretty much sell everything. I haven't niched down into one category, so I sell a little bit of everything.
Okay, great. So again, you have a family, you have children, and like I said, you do this, I guess, to offset your expenses. And you also, I know Maggie has a place down the shore, and we call it the shore here in the Philadelphia area. And Joe, congratulations, got a place down the shore, and I guess the reselling helps pay some of those bills.
Yeah, I basically do it to. My main goal starting out was when I picked this up, doing it part-time, was to pay for the kids' tuition. I have two boys, 14-year-old and who's in 8th grade, and 11-year-old that's in 6th grade. They go to private school. They go to a Catholic school, so tuition is not cheap. And then I have a 3-year-old daughter that's in preschool. So basically, when I started everything out, I just usually sold items to pay for their tuition, and during the summertime, if we had some leftover money from that, we usually took a nice vacation somewhere. So that was my main goal when that's what pushes me to do the listings and everything else like that, is to get that taken care of.
Hey, you need a goal, you need to drive, and that motivates you to get things selling, get things listed, because you got bills to pay.
Yep. And so that's basically what got me into reselling, is just a little bit of extra money that I would make could pay for things like that. So
now, I again, guys, I'm gonna list or link, I should say, the show that Joe was on before. I guess about 8-9 months ago, I had Joe on. But why don't you refresh my memory? That's the reason you got into reselling. But did you have any friends or family members that were in reselling, or they suggested getting reselling? How did you actually get involved in reselling?
No, I was always in the sneakers. I was one of those kids that
like a sneakerhead, right?
Yeah, after I got my first job, I was one of those kids that camped outside of Foot Locker or any of the sneaker stores to wait for that on Saturday morning, to wait for that release to come out. It was usually Jordans that I went for, and then I would sell them to people that I knew. I would try to get 2 pairs, one for me, and then sell a pair, to basically pay for my pair. And then a consignment shop opened up in Philadelphia, where I would just basically get the shoes that I bought at Foot Locker, take them to them, and they would sell them, and they would charge a 20% commission. So that's basically what got me into reselling, was that, the sneaker game when I was younger. But I haven't done that in a long time. I don't even think they do that anymore. It's usually everything's online now with the new sneaker.
Right. The new releases, yeah, that refreshed my memory. I do recall you talking about that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So and then the store ended up closing. That was here in Philly. It was a was called Soul Control. It was in
Okay.
the old city neighborhood. It was open for a few years, and then it ended up closing. And if you had any inventory down there, they called you up and said, "Listen, you have to come pick it up. Our store's closing." So, and I met some guys down there that were selling at the time. They were selling on Craigslist and a little bit on eBay, and that's basically what got me started into eBay.
Gotcha.
But it's very, when I first started out on eBay, they wouldn't let you list only a certain amount of shoes that were branding and things like that. So it was slow going on there. So I sold most of them on Craigslist, at the time. And then eventually I just started listing stuff that I had around the house, other than sneakers to get established on there. And then they would let me list a little bit more Nike and Jordan, Jordan brand, Nike brand.
Right.
They didn't want somebody just new that had no selling experience listing all this brand name stuff because, they thought maybe I was going to scam people or whatever. So after a while, after I got my, reviews up and stuff like that and had some sales.
Got your good feedback, and they saw you're a legitimate seller and selling,
I was able to list more and
right.
more at, of brand named items. And basically what started it. So, and here I am now selling a little bit of everything that I can find.
Right. So we'll roll into that. Basically, I wanted to refresh, my memory as far as, what platforms you sold on. You always told us predominantly on eBay. And again, guys, I always talk about, changing and adapting. And Joe obviously has done that. We all know back in the day, Craigslist was a big thing and no longer is. So again, Craigslist is not what it used to be. And, we used to be able to use the RTL treasure map. It was connected to Craigslist. That's no longer possible. So again, I always say you got to adapt, you got to change, you got to roll with the punches, so to speak. So again, so Joe was basically sells one-offs, and let's see, we talked about where you sell one-offs. So what kind of specialties and niches? Like I said, you do sell one-offs, but we'll get shortly into the Bolos. But what do you look for when you're picking out things? What types of things do you pick up? I mean, do you sell clothing? Do you sell more hard goods? Do you sell a little mix and match? Or what?
I sell a little bit of everything. I do have the biggest part of my death pile is clothing. I just don't enjoy listing it. I think that's, but I always seem to get sucked back in, to the clothing.
Just when you thought you were out, it sucked you right back in.
I'll end up selling a $60 pair of jeans or something like that. And then the next time I'm out at the thrift store or whatever, I'm looking for jeans, when I say to myself,
you had to mention jeans, Joe.
But things like that, that's mostly my death pile is, has a considerable amount of clothing items in it. But like I said, I pick up a little bit of everything. I like to look for sporting good equipment. Of course, sneakers, I've broadened my horizons a little bit with the sneakers, not just looking for Jordan or Nike, what everybody, usually everybody that's involved with reselling knows that Nike's a great brand. Jordan's is, a great brand. Right. So I think, and they're the first things to go at any thrift store or anything like that. As soon as they hit the shelf, somebody's there. Right. So I learned a little bit more about, running sneakers that I'm into now, some different brands, of course, sporting good equipments, everybody has kids that once played baseball or softball in Little League. And, as they're getting older, they're not either playing that sport anymore or they have just grown out of, baseball glove or softball glove they use. So I usually find that kind of stuff either at, yard sales or, flea markets, people that are just looking to declutter. So I enjoy selling that. I got a little bit of I was able to educate myself a little bit more on baseball bats and golf clubs and things like that helped my reselling business.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, guys. You got to, we talk about this all the time, and it's the old saying, find a job that you like, something you like, and you'll never work another day in your life. Well, if you don't like selling clothes, then they become, I'll call it a cash pile. Try to be positive, but we all call them death piles. So again, the clothing stacks up, and I have clothing I bought a year and a half, 2 years ago that I have to get listed, which is bad on me. But I am gradually working through it. But clothing sells. And the problem with clothing is typically, unless you have unusual things or collectible things, or one stitch concert T-shirts or things, it's a slow process. They're long tail. So
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, some of the clothing that I do have is long tail items. My biggest problem with the clothing is actually laying it out, listing it, taking the measurements, and then getting a ton of questions. I think you get a whole lot more questions on, clothing from buyers wanting an extra measurement, or asking, how many times it was washed, was it dry? Like things like that, and I do try to answer all the questions, but I do get a whole lot more questions when it does come to clothing, and most of my returns are from clothing. So,
true.
You
mentioned jeans. I'm sorry.
You run into that also when it comes to clothing.
Right. Well, you mentioned earlier jeans, and I used to have people that wanted to buy jeans, and I had a lot of problems finding men's jeans. Decent selling brands. I would find a lot of women's jeans. I guess for the reason, I guess women have more jeans. I guess men they buy 1-2 pair of jeans they wear, and when they wear out, they buy another pair. But women typically have different styles and different brands of jeans. But people would have a question about, well, will this jean fit me? It's like, well, you haven't worn this particular brand of jean before, I wouldn't buy it, because every jean wears differently, fits differently, washes differently, dries differently. So I have the measurements, but that doesn't mean it's going to fit you. So I probably ban on me, but I would discourage them, because I didn't want to get a return, because you're paying $7-8 to ship it out there, and then they claim the INAD item not as described, even though it really doesn't fit. That's the reason they're returning it. And then they want to pay back for return shipping, and then I end up losing money. At that point, I would just say, oh, just keep it, donate it, give it to somebody, whatever.
Right. That's usually, when I do get those questions, I do ask, sometimes I'll send back the message saying, if you could measure a T-shirt or measure a sweatshirt that you already have, to see if the measurements match up to this. I measured it from, armpit to armpit, from collar to the hem on the back. And that's the size that it is, maybe compare it to something that you already have.
Right.
And a lot of times I can honestly say that a lot of the people that ask the questions never comes through with a sale. You spend some time remeasuring something and all that, and the sale never happens. So that's a little bit frustrating too when it comes to clothing.
That's true. I mean, you'll get these questions, and like you said, you measure something, or something you didn't include in the sizes, and they're like, oh, could you measure this? And 99% of the time they don't buy it. But the thing is, with eBay especially, that Cassini, the algorithm, likes communication back and forth between the buyer and the seller. They like when people send you offers and you respond. It kind of monitors your activity, and it rewards you. And again, listings, of course, you have to list on a regular basis, because if you don't list, you're not going to sell.
Right. And like I said, I try to respond to every single one of the questions that come through, even though it could be a headache, or I know in the back of my mind that it's not going to result in any kind of a sale. I still do it.
Right. Okay, why don't you we'll touch on a little bit on where you source, and then we'll get into the talk about Bolos. Where you mentioned a little bit in your introduction where you source. Why don't you get into that a little bit of where you're sourcing?
Mainly like in the winter time like this, it's usually thrift stores. As it gets nicer out, I like going to yard sales, garage sales, and flea markets. Occasionally I'll hit an estate sale, like usually on the first day, or I'll end up going on the last day, when they get usually markdowns on the last day. But that's basically where I like to go. I have like a little route that I take of a few thrift stores that I try to go to every week, and if I'm out and about going some other place, I'll at, a random thrift store while I'm out doing something else. But usually on the weekends, I'll try to do, when the weather gets better here in Philadelphia, we'll do the yard sales and flea market, stuff like that.
Well, that's part of the issue that that we have, in the Philadelphia area. We only, in my opinion, only have about a 4 to 5 month, yard sale, garage sale. It's basically like late March, early April into like end of October.
Yeah, and it seems like the
You're
ones
not going
that,
to find a lot of yard sales in the wintertime right here.
and it seems like
Early spring.
it seems like all the in the summertime you'll get like a whole lot of sales on one certain weekend. You know what I mean? Like that's and then you can't get to all of them. You know what I mean? It's one weekend they'll have 2 yard sales throughout the area, and then the next weekend they'll have 15 or 20, and then you can't get to all of them. So,
Right.
And usually while I'm out, I'll try to hit the yard sales early, and then I'll stop by a few of the flea markets that are close by.
Well, that's the thing too, and I talk about it all the time. I know a lot of people in the chat, and we talk about that. We're sourcing it. Yard sales, garage sales. You got to be the early bird. The early bird gets the worm, and then people say no early birds. Well, if you're not an early bird, you're
right.
out of luck. Basically, I'll keep it clean. You're out of luck because all the early birds snap up all the good things.
Right.
And again, guys, that you regulars in my chat, I talk about this all the time. Try to build up a little rapport with the people who are having yard sale, garage sale. It's something as simple as saying, "Oh, how's the weather? It's in spring. Wow, I'm so glad it was warm last night, or it didn't rain," or just have a little conversation. You want to build that little bit of rapport. So maybe they'll offer you a deal on a bundle, or maybe if you offer them, a little bit less on something, they'll give you a deal. So again, the guys, while I'm thinking about it, I try to stay out of Facebook as much as possible. I use Facebook just basically for my YouTube channel, and I don't do a lot of Facebook. I do monitor some of the Facebook groups, and it came out with the price of gasoline. Again, guys, you got to plan things out. Like Joe was saying just recently, he says he has like a route of thrift stores you go to. I did that as well, but now with the cost of gasoline being double what it used to be, that's even more important. So somebody says, "Well, what do I do with the price of gasoline? So how am I going to source?" Well, when you go out to the grocery store, or you're going out to the pharmacy, or you're going out to the wholesale club, put your thrift stores, put your whatever your yard sales, your garage sales, garage sales early morning, but put a route of thrift stores on your run. So again, you're out anyway, and remember, gasoline, mileage, etc., is a cost of doing business. So get an app like Mileage IQ. Monitor when you're going between stops. That's tax deductible. So again, that's a tip that came up as a question in one of the reselling thrift Facebook groups. Okay, let's get into the Bolos. Are you frozen? Oh, you're good. You're good, right? You're frozen.
Yeah,
You're good. Okay.
good.
Okay. Yeah, that looked like you were frozen.
I might have been that one. I don't know. I'm good.
Momentarily. Okay, let's get.
I was reading the chat. It was over here. That's why.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. All right, so we talked about where you source. So let's talk about the Bolos. And again, guys, if you're newer, most of the people in the chat right now are experienced resellers. But Bolo, back in the day, it used to say all points bulletins. Now they say be on lookout. So it's basically Bolos or be on the lookout, and I say be on the lookout for. So there's things that you were out and you're out sourcing, whether it be yard sales, garage sales, thrift shops, flea markets, or swap meets, as they like to call them out west. You're looking for these certain items that are of higher value and that you can flip relatively quickly or for high profits. So why don't we get a little bit into your Bolos and the things you look for, and maybe some unusual things and some common things that you look for when you're outsourcing.
I guess we could start with like some sporting good equipment. I have a few things that I pulled out earlier. Like I said, I always like to look for baseball gloves or softball gloves or whatever. And there's, of course, different brands that are worth different, money. But it's always usually easy with baseball gloves. They'll always usually have some sort of model number on the glove. But if you ever come across like a Nakona, I don't know if you can see it there. The emblem right here has changed. This is an older one.
Okay.
It's hard to see there, but it's has some pulls on it. But Nakona baseball gloves, softball gloves, anything like that, if you can find them, you really should pick them up. Like this isn't in the best shape. It needs to be repaired. Relaced on the sides. But this is actually a softball glove. It's actually a catcher's mitt for like fast pitch softball.
Fast pitch softball, right?
Yeah, and they're made in USA. These are made in Texas. These Nakona.
Okay.
And it's a real good brand. This is probably like a, in good condition. This is probably like $175 glove in good condition. So
wow. Okay.
And I ended up picking this up for $5 at the flea market. I've had it a while. I've been debating whether I'm going to be I should relace it or put some try to recondition it myself.
Recondition the leather, right.
Yeah, so I'm up in the air. Yeah, Cap guy said it's from Texas. Yeah. So
I was going to ask you how to spell that, and Bobby was right on it. He got it right in the chat. So, guys, if you're looking at how to spell Nakona, Bobby the Cap guy put it right in the chat.
Yeah, so it's like I said, this is just like I said, it's a good brand. Any of their baseball gloves are worth money, but they'll have the model number on there, which makes it easier to look up and when you're doing your comps.
Absolutely.
There's some other different baseball gloves. This is another baseball glove I have here. It's a Rawlings. Now this is, a $20 baseball glove, but the difference between this one is that it's a Mickey Mantle. See him right there.
Mickey Mantle signature on there. Okay.
Model. This is like a $20, $25 glove, not being Mickey Mantle. I had this listed for $60. I had a few offers on it, low ball offers at $30 or $32. And I'm just holding out for the right buyer. I think there's only a few of these listed with Mickey Mantles inside, the Mickey Mantle model.
Right. So that's more of a collectible than something like the kids would be using.
Yeah. You could probably still use this. I mean, it's
right.
It's a decent enough shape, but the actual model of this glove is not really, desirable other than being the Mickey Mantle name inside.
So like you said, a pro tip you said was you can, punch in well, I guess they didn't have model numbers back then, but the newer things, you have model numbers, you can punch it right into your eBay app or your app and just.
Yeah, even the other one. I mean, I think this glove's probably 20, 25 years old, and they had the model number in it.
Oh, did a model number? Okay.
Yeah. So they're all, because there's so many different gloves. There's infielder gloves, there's pitching gloves, there's outfield gloves. Of course, there's first base mitt, catcher's mitts. There's all kinds of models that come across it. But that's just basically the, whenever I do see, regardless of, where I'm at, if it's a baseball glove or a softball glove, I usually just look for, look it up because, a lot of people will buy a used baseball glove because they don't want to take the time to break it in. You get a.
That's the other thing too. I remember back in the day.
You get a brand new baseball glove. You might have 3, 4, 5 weeks of breaking that glove in and wrapping it. Put a baseball inside, wrapping it, sleep it, put it under your mattress.
Brings me back 50 some years ago. I was doing that.
So a lot of people don't want to do that. Don't want to take the time out to do that. So they look for used gloves. Or they call them game ready gloves. I think that's
game ready. Okay.
Yeah, game ready. They put in the title.
Okay. So there you go, guys. There's a pro tip. Game ready. That's you put right in the title.
So people look for gloves that are already broken in, and that's
So game ready is another term for broken in.
Already broken in. Yeah.
Like you're saying, you should put that right in the title.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a tip, guys. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Like those two gloves that I showed you. I mean, the Nakona one does need some work, but this Mickey Mantle one, I mean, I don't know how many young kids are going to be playing this. This might be for like
I think it's more of a collectible item.
An older guy that's going to have a catch with his grandkids or something like that.
Right.
Might be looking at, or that's the kind of glove that he had when he was a kid. I've sold a few gloves like that and got messages like that saying, "Oh, this was the model I had when I was a kid. I haven't seen a glove like this in 20 years." So,
and that makes you feel good when you get kind of connected with people and they're appreciative and they leave you good feedback.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you also said that baseball bats and obviously golf clubs, and we have Mike Goodies in the chat. Mike does tremendously well with golf clubs because he's in Florida. A lot of golf clubs in Florida.
Yeah.
The tournament, the golf tournament this week is in Florida. Why don't you talk a little bit about the other sporting goods you'd like to pick up?
I always look up baseball bats, and they're pretty. This is actually a softball bat. This is like a $150 softball bat I got for $7. I think I got this at a yard sale last season. I didn't list it for a while because my niece was going to use it, but she ended up getting a different bat. But usually they have the model number. It's usually in small writing. I don't know if you can see that. it will say all baseball bats will have like a model number on there. This is a
Okay.
FPXN 160. So, and they're easy enough to look up just by that.
So you punch the model number right in the eBay app or whatever app you use.
Yeah, the eBay app, and it will come up. And the more you get familiar with the bat, you'll be able to tell that if it's a composite bat just by like knocking on it with a ring and different sound. Tip with that is just make sure you look over the bat. You know, if it's dented up, if it has big dents in it or something like that.
Or a lot of paint. What about if it's chipped with paints and things? Is that something?
This has some chips on it. I usually pick it up. That could be, you know, depending on the kind of softball field. In Philadelphia, we don't have the best softball field, so I mean, someone's just dropped back
and hit some rocks and
some rocks and something like that. I usually look for the crack. You know, a composite bat will crack. An aluminum bat, they'll have like dents in it. I'll just usually just pass on them.
So you want to look for cracks. You want to look for dents.
Yeah.
What other no-nos you're looking for when you're sourcing this?
You know, I don't really let the grip scare me. Like a lot of the grips, they have to be replaced. I sell it with whatever grip comes on it. I don't usually, you know, take the time to put a
disclose that in your listing, obviously.
Yeah, just disclose in a you know.
See pictures that people never look when they say see pictures, but
or, you know, grip will need to be replaced soon. Something along the lines of that, because I don't usually, you know, I bought bats for my son and my sons when they play and they usually put a different grip on it anyway, something that they want, you know. So I don't let that discourage me, but just mainly the dents and the cracks. If it's anything like that, I just end up leaving it behind.
Okay, so you wouldn't re-grip the bat, but you're considering relacing the glove. I guess it depends.
Yeah, I just want that because it's a higher end glove. You know what I mean? If I get it back to a good usable condition, you know, like I said, I can get $170 for it, $180 for it. You know, right now in the condition that it is probably like $100 glove. So.
Okay, so again, I always talk about time is money and the value of your time. So you got kind of weigh. It's like, well, if I invest, you know, $3 in supplies, or well, I guess probably more than that now. But the laces, I don't know what laces cost these days. I haven't bought laces in God, over 50 years or 45 years. But you got to value your time.
You know, so yeah, the value of your time, and I try to avoid. I'll get into that when we talk about sneakers, but I try to avoid projects. You know what I mean? I try to look for things that are ready to go, ready to list. Because being part-time, I have a you know,
small window when you can do it, right? And you want to be as productive as you can with your time.
I don't want to spend that time that I have able to list, you know, cleaning a bunch of shoes.
Cleaning and prepping and repairing and You
know, so I'd rather not buy the projects that, you know, take some time to do it. But I will on some things. I mean, I always... You know, my kids are still in sports, so there might be a time that I have to relace a glove, you know, and I haven't, you know, when I got glove replaced was my dad ended up doing it with the big needle and all that other stuff. So
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So, you know,
you're making me feel old, Jay. You're bringing me way back when I had stuff to do that.
You know, so I don't know. Maybe my kids will need a glove release, so maybe I'll practice on that. I don't know.
There you go. Okay, so you also said, I guess, will you pick up some golf clubs? I know you're not real big on golf clubs, but again, I guess some higher end brands to look for, possibly.
Yeah, I'm not extremely, you know, too familiar with golf clubs and all that, but I know like the major brand, the Ping and the, you know, Titleist and Nike, which I don't even think
Nike is no longer being made, right?
Golf clubs anymore. So when I do see them, I usually end up picking them up. But I have a set of golf clubs I picked up here a little while ago that I'm still working on. It's a whole iron set. This is a Ping i3, but they were covered in paint when I bought them. So I don't know if you can see the paint there on the shaft here.
Yep.
So I don't know.
You got a steal on those. You were telling me how much you pay for this again?
$10, $12 or something like that.
$10-$12 for a whole set of irons.
Yeah, the whole set of irons. But like I said, they were covered in paint, and literally this paint takes. And there's probably something I can use. You know, I was afraid to put on, again, kind of paint thinner or stuff like that on there. I didn't know if I would ruin the club, so I'm actually just literally peeling it off with, my nail, going.
Right. You
So,
say
so I have
you're using a little like scrubby thing or something.
scouring, like a little bit of a scouring pad and
Scouring
stuff
pad,
like
right.
that. But this is another project that, I shouldn't be using my time to do it. But for something like this,
I guess it's relaxing too, right? If you got nothing better to do, you're watching TV or something.
So I'll usually just, I have 2 more clubs left to do, and then I'll have the whole set clear, and then, I'll list them. Hopefully I'll list them in time for, golf season coming up, and when the
That's the
weather
other thing, guys. If you have sporting goods like golf clubs and golf equipment, we're in March already. Get it listed.
Baseball season's right around the corner, so I expect.
Well, yeah, hopefully professional baseball season will be right around the corner.
Right.
We don't know.
Right, but I expect some of the stuff that I had sitting,
Yes.
For a while.
And then softball starts in the early summer, so I mean, again, people are looking at stuff, April, May.
Yeah. So.
Okay, when we get a little bit other your bolos. Let me just see check my notes here. You got involved with sourcing at flea markets. You told us earlier, and then I talk about all the time about networking and different things. Why don't you share with us? And we're on into one of Joe's bolos. Why don't you share with us how you hooked up with this guy that does the automobile emblems?
Yeah, there was a guy at at the end of like flea market season. I guess it was like September or October. I ran into him a few weeks in a row where he was selling everything car related, car emblems, the thing, the Nissan sign or the Lexus sign that goes on the front of your car, the badges that go on the side of the car that say like it's a, Dodge Ram 1500 or whatever. And I bought from him for a few weeks in a row. I bought, I tested out a few different, emblems that he was selling, and I was paying a little bit more money than when I, before I made this connection for them.
So you typically would, but right.
Yeah. All of them, car emblems, anything like that, are worth some money. They're easy to look up. They have a serial number or a model number or a parts number. That's it. The parts number.
Parts number right on the product, right?
Right on the back of them. So this guy, turns out that after talking to him for a couple of weeks, is that him and his brother have a body shop together. So all the old parts that, they replace a door and maybe the emblem's not broken. He showed me how he did it. He would either heat up the ones that stick on the car. He would heat it up and, peel the adhesive off of it. And I told him that I'd be interested in buying whatever he had. And he was saying about the flea market closed in a few weeks and he doesn't know how he's going to get rid of them. And he just wants to move them out of his garage. I said, well, here's my number. And he's literally been a great source for me when it comes to picking up car parts. It's just started off with the car emblems, and then it went into some floor mats that I got from them, and then it went into now. Just a couple of weeks ago, I bought some older Ford Mustang emblems from them. They need to be cleaned up a little bit. These are a little bit harder to look up because they don't have the part number on there. So I actually just got to do it by like measure. This one might have a part. Yeah, this one does have a part number on it.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Ford. So usually if you type them in, there's not many of these older ones. So sometimes it's hard to find that exact model or what year that it went to.
Right.
So
do you have the BMW ones handy, or do you put those
this is a newer like center cap.
I'd never seen that. Isn't that neat, guys? I'd never seen that before. Joe was telling me about that when we were doing a pre-chat interview. It's like, I never sold something like that before.
Yeah. This is like the center cap that goes in the wheel, and then it's got like a counterbalance weight on it. So
the BMW, you're paying on that weight for the car, but the BMW is always upright.
Yeah, it'll always be upright. So, I pretty much now pay around $4 or $5 a piece for each emblem or whatever. And this BMW one, I'll hang on to it until I get a couple more from them. Maybe sell them in a pair as opposed to just selling it just a single one. Or if I get a set of all 4, maybe somebody's looking for that. So there are some different things that and I met all that from this connection from the guy at the flea market. And like I said, it turned into, it's all car related items that I get from them. Whether it be the emblems or the center hubcap things or floor mats or things like that. So it is always good to tell people what you do because you never know.
Yeah, I mean, guys, sometimes you make some blowback in thrift stores from the customers or from the clerks, but you know, I know a ton of stories. You know, I talk about Jamie Pace that I know through Casey's Facebook group. You know, he's got relationships with the clerks and the managers of Goodwill, and they literally save things for him, and they'll have like gaylords and stuff in the back, and Jamie, we put this aside for you, and Jamie sells I think he sells books and different things. So I said, oh, Jamie, we got a bunch of books back in the back for you. Before you put them out, we want you to look through them. Rachel Strickland, who was on my channel, she shops at various thrift stores. She actually had a thrift store contact her again, guys. Go to Vista Print, have business cards printed out. It doesn't always work, but it doesn't hurt you. They're inexpensive, all kind of coupon codes with Vista Print. And she had this actually thrift store that had like 3 gaylords. I think they were charging her like clothing. It was like $1 a piece. And again, they didn't put it out on the floor. They kept it in the back and said, whatever you want, you can have. Right. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I know people that have reached out to thrift stores, including Randy, and says, can I buy some pallets or gaylords or things? And sometimes they tell you no, but if you don't ask, you don't know.
Yeah, and this was, like I said, I just, struck up a conversation with this guy, and it turns out he's happy to get rid of it. They're all, extra parts that he had laying around, and he's cleared out certain section of his garage. But you'll be surprised at what, like, those little car emblems that go on the front and what people are paying. Even sometimes they, they'll have a plastic clip that's broke.
Right.
They're repairable, or somebody knows how to do it. They'll still buy them, that way. So.
Well,
now he doesn't have to get up early on a Saturday and go to the flea market. You know what I mean? That's what his biggest.
Probably buying 90% of what he has, and like you said, he doesn't have, like I said, have to get up and set up and stay there. And again, time is money. The value of your time. He could be either maybe relaxing, or he could be working on cars, or spending time with his family, and instead of getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and being at a flea market for 6-7 hour day.
Yeah, and like I said, it's all car related. He's in the car business, so he's always going to have, as long as he's in the car business, he's going to have some sort of inventory for me. And even the smallest things is like side view mirrors, not the actual whole assembly, just the actual glass mirror that goes in there.
Part. Okay.
People are getting them knocked off, or kids are bumping into them and all that. And a replacement one from the dealership is probably a whole lot more money than what I'm selling it for on or what other sellers are selling a used one for on eBay.
I'll give you a perfect example. And I sometimes, I guess, because I worked retail and I worked wholesale, and I come up with these different language things. But Stunat, or Donatello's in the chat, which is Italian for basically means stupid. I had the key fobs. They have the new electronic key fobs, the fancy ones. So I'm going to replace the battery, and I went on YouTube. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm taking it apart. The whole thing goes flying all over the place. Well, they're like $150, $200 for a key fob. Yeah. Granted, you go on eBay, there's other places that are selling them used, whatever. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm going to source it on eBay, and I have a hook up at a local, locksmith, and they'll reprogram it for like $15, $20, as opposed to paying a dealer $200 some to give you a programmed one. So right. I might save $100. Maybe it costs me like $60, $70, and they'll charge me $20 to program it.
Right, and that's usually what people end up, looking for a deal on, eBay or whatever, when they find out the real cost of it at a, dealership or whatever. So,
right. Why don't we get a little bit into? Again, I know you're not an expert on shoes, but you pulled out a couple pair of shoes, athletic shoes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I started off with like Jordan, sneakers, but then, these are a popular brand. I don't know if they're called On Clouds. Now, this is probably like a $75, $80 pair of shoes. I bought these for $10 at the flea market. Here's another pair, getting back to it's another pair of On Clouds. This is actually the first pair of On Clouds that I found, and I just wanted to buy them, but they're in bad shape. This is a project shoe that really needs to be cleaned up, as opposed to a shoe like this that I picked up and it's almost ready to go.
Yeah, that's almost like in like very good condition already.
Yeah. So it's going to
clean the sides and clean. Yeah.
It's almost no work. Maybe wipe it down, and it's ready to list, as opposed to this where it's going to be, scrubbing, and it will clean up, but it's just the
Right.
time that it takes, and this was the first
Again,
pair
right.
that I found, so I wanted to buy them, just to.
So again, it's what you paid for it, how much profit is in it, how much time it's going to take you to recondition them. Again, maybe like, is that $100 shoe resale, or what was it sell for?
Yeah, probably about $80.
Okay, so if you got $10-15 invested, and maybe you spend another half an hour or 20 minutes reconditioning the other one, like 20 minutes.
Oh, this is probably like a $60 shoe. It's a smaller size.
Okay, so that's kind of iffy then, right? So I mean, if
you I paid $5 for it, $4.99.
Oh, okay, and you paid $5. Okay,
Salvation Army. And like I said, this was the first pair of On Clouds that I found. Okay. I heard of On Cloud shoes before from other resellers. That's basically where I get my knowledge of anything reselling, is watching other people's videos. Most of the videos I put out on my channel are, what sold videos. I enjoy making them because that's when I first started. That's all I used to watch. I used to search what sold videos, what sold on eBay, and that's how I met, other resellers from it. And I would just watch what they sold, and keep it in the back of my mind. Maybe I'll find them when I'm out there. So this is basically where I learned On Clouds from. I would never have known what this little brand is right here without seeing it somewhere else.
Right.
But I got excited when I found these. This was the first pair I found. So I bought them, and they were $4.99 at Salvation Army. So I just haven't gotten the cleaning them yet.
That's inexpensive. That's not Goodwill prices.
Yeah, Salvation Army. Yeah, right. They usually write them on the bottom there.
Donatella says she recently asked a friend of hers who owns a dealership to save her core manuals from cars that are going to the junkyard. Again, you're saving them from the landfill, and I guess Donatella obviously did her research, and I guess she'll check them in the eBay comps, eBay solds, whatever, and see what happens if it's sellable or not. Dan wants to know what size they are.
They might be a size. They're a women's 8.5.
Oh, can you wear women's shoes, Dan? Size 8.5.
So, but another pair. Everybody knows New Balance.
Right.
New Balance. A lot of people will walk past New Balance because they're the old man shoe or whatever. But they have a.
Guess what I wear?
a 990 brand. All the
990 is okay. So that's the Bolos for the 990s.
Yeah, they have some sort of number attached to New Balance, but like 990. I always keep an eye out for these. They're made in the USA. Usually right there on the tag, you can see it. This is a good size. This is size 12.5.
Oh, that's good size. Yeah.
So they'll, they usually sell. I mean, these are not in the best condition. You can see some wear on them, but good enough for me that I'll just wipe them down and, throw one of those shoe trees in there when I take the photo. It makes the shoe look a lot better.
Right. Well,
I could probably, get somewhere around $80 for them.
So when you're outsourcing, again, shoes and athletic shoes better than I do, but typically, I guess you do the bend test. You check the separation. You check in the back of the heel, because that's typically where they'll wear. You check the tongue. So why don't you give a few tips about selling shoes when you're looking for any outsourcing?
You'll be able to. Some of the shoes you'll be able, just by looking at it. The front of the shoe here would be coming off or anything else. But I always usually just bend them, make sure that they're not cracked underneath here. Some of them that are dry rotted will show like a crack right across the seam.
And then they'll separate in the front too. Sometimes they'll separate.
Yeah. Look in the back for like
That's where they wear a line, and some people forget to look for that.
Yeah, you'll see like this cloth that's in the
wear
back.
Away the cloth, and it gets yep.
So, and a lot of people, if it does have it, sometimes you'll miss it. I bought a few pairs of shoes that I missed when I got home. I'm like, how didn't I see that? I still list them. I actually bought a pair of Adidas running shoes that actually had a hole right in the top of, literally that you could put your toe through it.
Okay.
I thought at the time I bought them, I would be able to get $45, $50 for them. Right. I ended up selling them for $25, but disclose that, put my finger through the hole in the picture,
finger through the hole in the picture. Okay.
Even when you make some of those mistakes like that, they still have some sort of value in them. Somebody will either replace, maybe somehow they know how to fix them, or, a lot of the Jordans and stuff like that, people will actually, recondition the whole thing. They'll replace the soles on it. They'll, put some work into making an old pair of Jordans better. But there's some brands that, that I usually look out for: the New Balance 990, the On Clouds, of course, Hoka running shoes, things like that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of the On Cloud brand before. And again, you're saying that the New Balance 990s are made in America, so that's a selling point.
Yeah, I don't know if all New Balances are made in America, but for usually.
Well, I don't want to take my shoes off, so I look, but I want to take them off during this live stream.
Yeah, it will either have like USA right on the tag, or sometimes it does say made in the USA. There's different versions of the 990. They come in different colors and things like that.
Again, guys, a pro tip. If you're out sourcing at a thrift store or something, grab it, stick it. If you're at the bins or whatever, grab it, put it in your IKEA, your big blue bag, put it in there. You're at the thrift shop, put it in your shopping cart, and then just run the comps before you leave. And just grab it off the shelf so somebody else doesn't grab it, because you never know. I mean, if it's not valuable, if it's not worth your time, just put it back.
Yeah, but that's usually what I end up doing it. And a lot of these shoes have model numbers right in it, so they are easy to look up to,
Tommy's working on selling shoes, sorting shoes. He says, "Don't tell them about ponies, Joe. We got to keep some secrets."
Well,
appreciate you stopping in, Tommy. I'm always interested with you. Have some great comments in the chat. I appreciate you, contributing to the chat. Guys, if there are any questions, again, I'm going to try to have Joe on like maybe every 6 months now. Really very knowledgeable, and he's I consider him a friend of mine. He's helps me out. Comes on the show occasionally. I really appreciate it. So if you have any questions for Joe, again, the three amigos, they're taking a hiatus. So you're getting a chance to talk and ask questions directly to Joe. Join the live stream. And again, I have Joe's social media in the description of the video. I have his YouTube channel listed. I have his Instagram listed. And he's going to become a TikTok star because his son's helping him out with that. Yeah, so I listed his TikTok channel as well in the description of the video.
Yeah, my 11-year-old is all about TikTok, and he's running my TikTok for me. Yeah.
Let's see what Tommy has to say about shoes here. He says his biggest problem with shoes is the odometer is missing a lot of time. Okay, I guess there's mileage too much. Okay, it was a joke. I'm reading. It's like, what's he talking about?
There's a lot. You'll get that question, like especially for running shoes. You'll get that question: how many miles were these?
So
shoes?
literally ask you how many miles are on the shoe.
How many miles did you put on these shoes?
Wow.
Or something along the lines of that.
Well, how do you answer that?
Usually, I just end up,
they're not my shoes. I'm a reseller.
Yeah, or I'll end up just saying that I'm not sure. Please check out photos for a condition. I'm not sure how many miles are on it.
Guys, I always tell you, and again, I know I always come back to these sayings, different things, but I always say any day I learn something new is a good day. I didn't realize that running shoes, they ask questions about mileage. I had no idea.
Yeah, they'll ask you how many miles you put are on those shoes or things like that. Yeah, like I said, I try to answer all my questions that come through because I think that does,
Oh, absolutely. Again, guys, we talk about the Cassini, the eBay algorithm. eBay likes that back and forth. Communicating with people. Offers, even lowball offers, respond. Don't have what some people, again, we talk about the value of your time, and time is money. But if you can respond back and forth, if somebody lowballs you, just counter with a high number. But eBay likes that back and forth, and that's how it drives the algorithm to increase the visibility of your listings.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I spend a few minutes answering the questions whenever they do come in, or any offers, even if they are lowball offers, I'll still counter back.
Just before I forget to mention, Big Thrift Philly, Joe and I were discussing you. Again, I'm always looking for guests for the show. So if you're interested on coming on the show, I'll bring you on. You can talk about reselling. Reach out to my social media. All the links are in my description. Instagram is probably the best place to contact me. I have email, etc. But reach out to me, please. I'd love to have you on the show. Another Delaware Valley guy, and talk about reselling. So Dan's talking about blocky reporting buyers again. Oh God, here we go with that again. Hope it made you feel better. You get to bring that up in the chat, Dan.
Yeah, I would love to see Dan's block list of how many.
Oh my God. I'm sure it's long and varied. Let's see if some other questions. I always ask this question. And aside, I'm sure probably asked you the last time you were on, but I like asking people what their best flip was, percentage, selling price, etc. What was your best flip that you recall?
Most recent one I had, let me look. It was actually 3 separate pairs of those 990 New Balance shoes.
Okay.
They were 3 different colors, same size. Let's see. I sold them all to one buyer. That's why it made it.
And you can combine the shipping, which is good too. And you probably offered them some kind of deal. Well, maybe you didn't offer them deal on shipping, but
yeah, I did. He asked for one. I'll pull up what it is now.
You probably got good feedback because you did that. Again, under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, it was this. I don't know if you can see it here. So it basically was, I don't know, it was 3 separate pairs of New Balance, all 990. I sold them for $400 total. It was $375, and I charged them $25 to ship.
For 3 pairs. Wow.
Yeah,
3 pair, I guess is technically the way to say it, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I sold them real quick. I paid $100 for all 3 of those. I paid up for them.
You paid up. Okay, so you paid 100. Okay.
Yeah, they were in great condition. You can see.
Bring that up. Okay.
They were like a pink or salmon color pair.
Okay.
A red pair.
Yeah, we call it salmon. Men call it salmon. Women call it pink, probably.
a mint green pair. So, that was a quick flip. I bought them at the flea market. I paid $100 for them, so basically $33 a pair. And I didn't lot them up originally. He actually found them all.
Found them in the store. Okay.
On my store, and then asked for
I
would sell. What's the best price you can do for all 3 of them? So it turned out to be we agreed on $400 total. So it was $375.
It turned a little over $100 and the $400. Granted, there were fees involved and whatever, but
they only went to Trenton, New Jersey. So shipping was definitely less than the $25 that we agreed upon. So so that was recently that's been like a big flip for me. And then I sold a radio last week, which really shocked me. It was I don't know what year it was from, but it was new in the box. It was like a Sony boom box.
Oh, cool. I actually need a boom box top of my freezer, refrigerator.
And it was new in the package, and it sold for $400.
Oh, what was your cost on that?
Yeah, that only.
What was your cost of goods on that?
I paid $60 for it.
Oof, that's a nice flip, man. Oof.
Yeah,
that's a lot of pair of jeans that make $300 gross profit.
Yeah, it was and that only went to New York too. So
cool.
I was glad it didn't go to California.
90% of my stuff goes to California, Texas. It goes cross country. I actually saw something in Napa Valley. So it's like, oh, okay. Sold a golf cap, a new golf cap in Napa Valley the other day.
Oh yeah.
But that was one of my retail arbitrages finds, and they're like you and I were discussing pre-chat. They're few and far between, for me anyway. Why don't you talk a little bit about your YouTube channel, and you like doing what sold videos? Why don't you tell the people about your YouTube channel?
Yeah, my YouTube channel, I try to put out just basically one video. I'm down to like one video a week. I would like to do more, but it does take some time with editing and things like that. But I like sharing most of what I sold. I'll do occasionally. I'll put a video out of like come thrift with me, and I'll go some thrift stores and show you what I pick up. But most of my videos turn out to be like a what sold video. I do enjoy sharing that. Most of the videos that I consumed, in the beginning of, my, selling journey were all what sold videos. So I think a lot of people that, doesn't make the content, with, just showing items, what sold. People right now are into like, going to the flea markets, going to this, that kind of reselling videos.
Now, a day and age with the GoPros and the
Yeah.
great cameras on smartphones, people like go along, thrift with you, and so that's
And I tried it. I have a GoPro, and I've tried it. I feel like there's a lot of times that when I brought the video camera along with me, I would end up missing more things because I was more worried about filming.
exactly.
And I didn't take the whole time of checking everything on the shelf, as opposed to
And then some people are very conscious of that. Or so, are you recording me? Yada yada yada. It's like I mean, it's valuable, but I mean, again, you got to consider your time, and you want to hit more locations, more booths, so to speak.
I mean, I never ran into the problem where people said, "Are you filming?"
You never had an issue. Okay.
I know some people have, but I didn't.
Okay.
That's basically why I just kind of just put out what sold videos. I enjoy showing what I'm selling. I get a lot of questions usually from people that ask me, how did you know that was worth something, or they'll reach out and like I said, most of the time it's not me actually knowing it; it's taking the time to
look it up.
And that's basically the answer that I and a lot of times you can feel, when it comes to clothing, you can feel a little bit more better quality items, just going down the rack, picking things up.
That's true. Clothing resellers, they especially the ladies, for some reason, they just go through it. They feel the fabric. They know the fabric's like.
I'm not on that level. I'm not on that level
either. I don't know anything about women's fashion, so.
But if it feels different, or if there's some sort of that I haven't felt this before,
right?
I take the extra couple minutes to look it up, and sometimes it works out.
Okay, guys. Again, I'm asking you guys if you have any. Again, we're fortunate to have Joe on. So, if there are any other questions you guys want to ask Joe, why don't you pop them in the chat, and we'll get them answered for you. Again, Joe's not doing a lot of live streams, so I appreciate him coming on. Just a little side note here, guys. I always tell you guys I'm not monetized on this channel, so again, I would appreciate any of your help as far as I have Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal, Cash App. And Randy's also kind enough to help me out as far as on his website. It's listed on my description, facebook.com. So if you guys are interested in any delicious coffees, teas, old-fashioned candies, you can log on to Randy's website and put AE next to your name when you register. And again, Randy would appreciate it, and I would appreciate it as well. Just check the chats, guys, if see any other questions. I don't see any questions. I know Tommy says he answers about 1 of the 30 questions. So again, Tommy's very successful reseller, but I would not recommend that, Tommy. But again, obviously the most important thing is to list, and list on a consistent basis. And also, you want to, again, if you don't have the time, like Joe, maybe you're going down to the shore or whatever on the weekends or something, and you want to get listings up. So again, you would know this, but maybe some people don't know it. Put it in your draft file and then upload them those days. Maybe you put extra 20 or 25 listings and list them. Put them some up on Saturday, some up on Sunday, and again, it keeps feeding that eBay algorithm, Cassini.
Yeah, a lot of times when I'll go through a stretch of sometimes it's a couple days without listing something. Right. I usually take the time to just end some items that are going to be ending those days, like the day of. Gotcha. I'll end those and then relist them. Sometimes I'll change the price a little bit, maybe change the title, take some words out, put some words in. And
so you try to fool you better, you're listing.
Yeah, I don't know if that helps or not, but it kind of makes me feel better that exactly. That I didn't do anything for a couple of days on eBay, because there are some days with running around with the kids, they're all in sports and things like that. Sure. I don't have the time to actually sit down and list. But another tip real quick that I shared before, I probably shared it on here, is a lot of times when I'm looking up items like at the thrift store or garage sale, estate sale, wherever I'm at, and I make the decision to buy that item, I'll actually start to draft there.
You just said that. Yep.
So I'll just hit sell similar, and I'll change the sizing. Say I looked up a pair of On Clouds or whatever, and these are 8.5. I'll change them the size 8.5. Make sure they're women's, make sure all that. So when I come down here to list, I'll just have to take the pictures, change a few words, put a short description in it. It cuts down the time of me having to look that all back up.
Because you'll be like,
So,
what were they selling for? So you know when you're doing it right away, you said, okay, I can list these for X amount of dollars, and I'm paying this, and like you said, put it in your draft folder, and then you finish it when you get home.
yeah, so that's helped me out
That's a great tip. Yep.
a whole lot, when it comes to time wise, because just come here, focus on setting up, the pictures, get the pictures taken, and the draft's already halfway done. So as instead of looking up the comps again, making sure the right size is put in there. It's a little bit, it takes more time on the front end of it, at the thrift store, but
Absolutely.
usually I have a little bit more time if I do the route of thrift stores that I, talked about earlier or things like that. I do have a little bit of extra time where I'll spend the extra minute or two to actually start the draft at the store. That's just a tip. I mean, it's something that helped me out. It might not be for everybody, but it's cut down on a lot of time, for me.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of the questions I was going to kind of ask you, and I kind of missed it. I was going to ask you if you had any additional tips or any kind of websites or apps that you use that maybe other resellers might not be aware of. But that's a great tip. Anything else that you use, special websites or apps? Or anything?
No, like I said, I mostly just sell on eBay.
Right.
I did try the cross post. No cross posting.
Cross listing. Right.
Cross listing. I didn't use an app or anything, so I don't
Right.
have any. But
Okay.
not a lot of times, but there are a few times I would forget to take it down on another app, and then it would sell on that. It would sell on Facebook Marketplace, or
And a lot of them don't have apps, so you can't remove it from your phone. You have to remove it from your computer.
So I tried it. eBay's been good to me. I know it's not the best move, especially for somebody that is full time and really depends on this as they're living.
Right. You need multiple platforms to
have all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And God forbid you get suspended or kicked off the platform. But obviously you know your situation better than others.
Yeah. I mean, knock on wood for me, I haven't had a problem with, getting suspended or anything. But like I said, 98% of my business does come from eBay.
Right.
Maybe one day, when the kids are older and I have a little bit more time, I'll venture off into
when you retire. We got a ways to go yet, but when you retire from your full-time job,
I'll venture off some other platforms. But for right now, I'm mostly 98% eBay.
Right. Mr. Glenn, welcome. You're gonna have to watch the replay. We're getting ready. So again, guys, we're just talking about your time, and Joe's trying to make the most of his time, and time is money. And I always say on my channel, time is your most valuable asset. So I'd like to thank Joe for his time, and also those of you that are here for the live and watching the replay for your time. Please don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And if you have the time, leave a comment too. It helps the channel grow. We greatly appreciate it. So again, guys, we shall see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Have a great week. We'll see you then. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having me on, Adam. Thank you.
Appreciate it.